Hello everyone. Now quickly let us get into complex permanent tissues. Complex permanent tissues are called so because the tissues are heterogeneous. That is, they are made up of several types of cells which are structurally and functionally different. Okay, that is why we call them as complex tissues. Okay, so complex tissues are two types, xylem and phloem. So again I repeat, complex tissues are those which are made up of more than one type of cells. Okay, they are made of more than one type of cells, and each cells are structurally and functionally different. Okay, and there are two types of complex permanent tissues. One is xylem and other is phloem. Xylem will be the water conducting tissues for the plant, and phloem is the food conducting tissue for the plant. These are the two types. Okay, now quickly let's get into xylem. Xylem is made up of what are the different types of cells associated with it, right? So we have four types of cells: tracheids, trachea, xylem, xylem parenchyma, and xylem sclerenchyma. Okay. So in this, the common question that would be asked is difference between tracheids and trachea. We'll quickly look into that as well. Okay. Now xylem tissues, coming to it. So these are the four types of cells which we have just now listed out. Coming to the picture of it. This is the tracheids. Okay, immediately the middle one will be the trachea or the vessels. Okay, now what are tracheids? Tracheids are elongated cells with tapering end. Okay, it has tapering ends and they will be placed one above the other. So it looks like this: elongated cells with the ends tapering. Another cell would start from here. Okay, next. They do not have cytoplasm, neither a nucleus. So when these two are not there, we consider the cell to be a dead cells. And then they have a lumen, okay, and an empty lumen through which the water will be passing through. And the entire cell wall is having deposition of lignin. Okay, so this is important characteristics of trachea. Okay, so secondary wall is thicker due to lignin deposition. We call that process as lignification. Now, based on how the lignin is deposited, we have different types of tracheids like annular, spiral, scalariform, reticulate, pitted. These are the different types. So how is it? Annular is the condition where this is a tracheid where the lignin deposition will be like rings. That's annular. In spiral, tracheid will have lignin deposited in spiral form. And scalariform is like a ladder. Okay, so it could be like a ladder. Reticulate is like a network. And what is pitted? Pitted is a place where the lignin will be throughout, but there are spaces in between without lignin deposition. That's called pitted. So these are the different types of lignification. According to this only, we classify the tracheids. Okay, next. Where are they present? They are present in pteridophytes and gymnosperms. Okay, very low, certain primitive angiosperms will be possessing tracheids. Okay, but they are found in all the pteridophytes as well as gymnosperms. Okay, so this is how the lignin deposition will look like. You can check out. The first one is spiralar. Second one seems to be annular. Okay, here annular is more evident in this case. Okay, next. Trachea or the vessel. Okay, so these are associated with the angiosperms. And what are the characteristics? They are shorter and wider than tracheids. Okay, they are wide. They have a bigger lumen and their length is smaller than the tracheids. Okay, this you can add on as a point for writing the difference. And they are placed end to end, meaning they don't have tapering ends. This is one vessel, this is another vessel. Okay, and they are also dead cells because they do have lignification. Okay, and no nucleus, no cytoplasm. The end walls may be absent or perforated. So this is the end wall. It could be absent so that it looks like a continuous cylindrical tube, or it could be perforated also. Okay, next. Like tracheids, Here also there are certain defined shapes where lignin gets deposited. Okay, the various types are annular, spirular, scalariform, reticulate, or pitted. So in this way, they are similar to the tracheids. Okay, so the next cell associated with xylem will be xylem fiber. Okay, xylem fiber. So it's nothing but sclerenchyma associated with xylem, because of which the xylem gets additional mechanical support. Okay, so their responsibility is to give additional support to the water conducting system. Okay, now these xylem fibers can be further classified into two types: xylem fibers and extraxylem fibers. Xylem fibers are wood fibers. So these and all are one marker question and for competitive. Okay, and they are associated with xylem. They may be classified into libriform or fiber tracheids. Libriform fibers are characterized by presence of thick cell wall, simple pits. Simple pit means they don't have any border surrounding it. It's just a pore without the lignin. And the fiber tracheids are comparatively thinner with bordered pits. Right? There's a pit surrounding which there's a thinner deposition of lignin. That's called bordered pits. Okay, next comes the Xylem Parenchyma. Xylem Parenchyma is nothing but a typical parenchyma associated with xylem. Their main job is storage of food and to maintain turgidity. They maintain the water balance. Okay, and it is the only living component of xylem. This is a one mark question. Okay, the only living part of the xylem is Xylem Parenchyma. Now coming to types of xylem. We have primary xylem and secondary xylem. Primary xylem are those which has originated from primary meristems. Okay, so I'm sure that you know what is the primary meristem, right? So they are originated from primary meristem, whereas secondary xylems are those which has arisen from secondary meristem. So what are secondary meristem? These are the meristems that arises from cambium cells, vascular cambium or core cambium. Okay. The first formed primary elements are called protoxylem and the later formed is metaxylem. That is, when the plant is emerging, the first added set of xylem is called protoxylem. Okay. During secondary growth, whatever the xylem is added, that forms the metaxylem. And in fact, proto and metaxylem is one of the main criteria for classification of xylem also. Okay, now what is the terms used? You need to remember these terms to study the arrangement of tissues within stela region. Okay, in roots, the protoxylem. What is protoxylem? First formed xylem is towards periphery and metaxylem is towards the center. Such a condition is called XR or centripetal. And if it is vice versa, we call it as endart. So what is endart? In endart, the protoxylem is towards the center and metaxylem is towards periphery. You can very well see here, the first formed xylem is towards the center or the pith. The later formed metaxylem is towards periphery. So this condition, we call it as a endart condition. Endart is associated with the root.